Really?
Hello, this is Max. The girl is faced with a choice to go to college with her best friend or her boyfriend. This is the third part of a trilogy. You can watch the first two parts by following the link in the description. After graduating from high school, Elevens goes on a week-long road trip with Noah Flynn, Lee Flynn, and Rachel V. May. During this trip, she faces the difficult decision of choosing between Harvard and Berkeley for her future education. To spare the feelings of her friends, Lee and Noah, who were admitted to Berkeley and Harvard respectively, she tells them that she's been waitlisted at both universities. Throughout their road trip, they enjoy various excursions such as camping, fishing, stargazing, visiting aquariums, and watching the sunset. Despite a condition that she and Lee must attend the same school, they temporarily part ways as they head to San Francisco for more adventures. Ultimately, Elle decides to work as a waitress to save money for college, though she's still unsure which university to attend. A few days later, while at the Flynn's vacation home, Noah suggests that if Elle gets off the waitlist for Harvard, they should move off campus and share an apartment. He expresses his desire to live with her and share their life together. When Elle questions his sincerity, Lee playfully jumps off a balcony, soaking Elle and Noah in water. Rachel joins them and offers drinks. Elle receives calls from Harvard but avoids answering them as she continues to delay her decision. Lee and Rachel discuss their college plans, with Lee arranging their schedules to spend time together despite attending different schools.
That could work.
Of course it'll work.
They later have lunch with Mr. and Mrs. Flynn, where Elle compliments their summer home and thanks them for their hospitality. Mr. and Mrs. Flynn inform the group that they plan to sell their beach house since the kids will be in college, and the area is undergoing renovations, making it expensive to maintain. Lee, Noah, and Elle oppose the idea, but Mr. Flynn states that the decision is final. Upon hearing this news, everyone becomes disheartened. Elle receives a call from Berkeley's administration and requests another brief delay. The next day, Elle is faced with the decision of choosing between Harvard with Noah or Berkeley with Lee. In another scene, Elle's family plays Uno, and her brother Brad wins, celebrating with a dance. Elle mentions how her job has limited her time with her family. Her father informs her about going on a date with Linda, but Elle seems unenthusiastic and ignores the conversation.
Really?
On the following day, Elle, Lee, Noah, and Rachel travel to the beach house to assist the Flynns in selling the property. They take a moment to reflect on the beach house's significance and the memories they've shared there. While Rachel and Lee are in a room, Rachel accidentally removes the doorknob, and Lee playfully places it on her finger. They join Elle and Noel in reminiscing about their childhood.
Woo!
Everyone gathers on the balcony to discuss selling the property with Mr. and Mrs. Flynn. Elle and Lee propose that they can legally sell the house in as little as 2 to 3 months if they take care of cleaning and maintenance. They also suggest staying there to facilitate the sale. Mr. and Mrs. Flynn agree under the condition that the youngsters maintain and clean the beach house.
Not a worry in the world. We got you, Ma.
Elle receives a reminder about Berkeley but decides to turn down the opportunity and inform Noah that she's heading to Harvard. Noel is thrilled and embraces Elle. Lee realizes what's happening and rushes to their playroom. Elle follows, and they argue about how attending different schools could affect their friendship. Elle promises to stay in touch, but Lee mentions his plans with Rachel.
That is not fair.
Elle comes up with an idea to make their summer unforgettable by completing their bucket list. She shares this plan with her father, promising to keep up with her responsibilities despite staying at the beach house. Elle, Lee, Rachel, and Noah move into the beach house, with some playful back and forth over the for sale sign. They decide to spend the summer there and enjoy their time together. Noah invites some friends, including Ashton, who recently finished his first year at Berkeley. Elle becomes jealous, fearing that Lee will have another friend at college who isn't her. The group has a great time and enjoys a memorable summer partying all night. The next day, Elle uses an air horn to wake up Lee and shows him the bucket list she created on her computer. They enthusiastically start checking off items from the list, including skydiving, participating in a brain freeze competition, going underwater in a cage, and even turning Noah into an ice cream sundae. Elle goes to work, and Lee joins her. Her manager, May, asks Elle if she can work extra shifts, and though Elle is reluctant, she agrees. Lee helps her with her work.
Wait,
Elle?
While at work, Elle spots Marco and his family and asks them why they are there. Marco explains that they came to eat, and he apologizes for his previous odd behavior. Elle inquires if Marco will be staying at the beach for the summer, and he mentions working as a lifeguard. Back at the beach house, Chloe calls Noah and informs him that her family will be in LA. Noah offers to let her stay at the beach house. Elle and Noah take a nighttime walk on the beach, where Noah tells her about Chloe's visit.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely.
Elle invites Noah to the water park that Marco had previously invited her to. Noah isn't thrilled about Elle's invitation and decides to leave. The next day, Lee and Elle try to convince him to dress up for race day, but he declines and walks away upset. Ashton and Lee spend more time together than Elle expected.
Hey.
Hey.
Marco visits Elle at her workplace and informs her that everything is set for Elle and Lee's event. Noah and Chloe spend time together on her family's boat, while Elle eventually finishes her work and receives a call from her father, informing her that Brad's babysitter had canceled. Elle invites Brad to join her at the beach house, and he accepts. Elle offers to get food for Brad, but Linda, her father's girlfriend, has already prepared something. Elle and Linda have a brief encounter, which leaves Elle feeling upset about Linda dating her father. Back at the beach house, Elle and Chloe play video games, with Chloe suggesting Elle go pro due to her gaming skills, which Elle dismisses. Later, Lee, Ashton, and Rachel return home, and Lee shares that they went to a comic book convention and played 80s mini golf. Elle and her friends plan to head to the water park. The next day, they all participate in a Mario Kart race. As the game progresses, several players leave, leaving Noah and Marco in the lead. Noah is visibly displeased when Marco wins, and this victory becomes a source of tension.
God, I'll see you at the house.
Later in the day, Noah and Chloe discuss Marco while playing pool. Chloe receives news from her parents that they are divorcing but tries not to make a big deal out of it. Meanwhile, Elle and Lee visit their favorite arcade and discover a message on the DDR machine stating that it will be removed. Back at the restaurant, Lee and Elle discuss the DDR machine's impending removal, leading Lee to add the last DDR dance to their bucket list. Elle becomes frustrated and overwhelmed due to the pressure of the bucket list, Harvard, and her relationships. Elle goes to the beach house and finds Noah, who has arranged dinner to make amends for their previous disagreement. She informs him that she's going with Lee to complete the bucket list, but Noah is not pleased and Elle walks away in tears. Later, Elle, Lee, and their friends stage a flash mob in a restaurant. Elle receives a reminder and leaves the restaurant to return to the beach house. Noah is painting the doorway frame the next morning when Lee comes in and tells him he shouldn't.
I'm not moving.
Fine.
Noah eventually leaves. Meanwhile, Elle was supposed to pick up Brad from soccer but couldn't find him. She becomes concerned and returns home to see that Linda had already picked him up. Elle is both disappointed and angry about the situation. At work, Elle is frustrated, and Chloe and Noah are on the beach discussing Elle. Chloe is irritated that Noah is seemingly abandoning her just like her parents abandoned their marriage. Elle and Marco briefly discuss her career at Harvard and her relationships with Noah and Lee. Someone walks in as Elle is about to finish her work, and she recognizes it's Noah. They dance and eventually reconcile. Marco, who sees this through the window, becomes dissatisfied and walks away. While Noah is in the room, he discovers Elle's application letter from Berkeley. The next day, Elle contacts Marco to apologize for the previous night and explains what happened. Marco understands but is still disappointed. At the 4th of July beach party, Noah tells Chloe about the letter, and Marco's presence creates tension. While Elle and her friends are playing volleyball, Marco punches Noah in the face, thinking he's still interested in Elle. Noah gives Marco a dirty look and walks away. Elle is now quite irritated with Marco and pushes him away, rejecting his affection. Later that night, Elle's family, along with Rachel, Lee, and Lee's parents, plays Monopoly. Linda chooses the puppy piece, and Elle accepts it despite her initial anger. Elle explains that Linda cannot replace her mother in her life. Her father becomes enraged and storms out of the door. Elle discovers Noah's whereabouts and joins him near the Hollywood sign. They discuss their relationship, and Noah decides that splitting up is a smart idea. Heartbroken, Elle finds herself too late to perform the last dance on the DDR machine. She runs into Lee, and they argue.
Not compared to him. I never have.
The next day, Chloe and Elle discuss Noah and Elle's relationship while Rachel listens in. Rachel reflects on her relationship with Lee. Elle and Mrs. Flynn discuss Elle's future plans and options, and Rachel and Lee decide to end their relationship due to the distance. They end up crying and hugging each other. Elle apologizes to her father and Linda at her house, explaining her feelings about the puppy piece. Linda understands, and they make amends. Elle realizes her true passion. Everyone says their final goodbyes, and Elle tells Lee that she got into Berkeley but didn't want to hurt their feelings, so she made the best choice for herself. Elle walks around the beach house one last time, reminiscing about her memories. Elle and Lee have their final conversation and part ways with the diamond doorknob. Mrs. Flynn is about to seal the contract to sell the beach house but reconsiders and decides not to sell it. 6 years later, Elle and Lee are still in touch in Los Angeles. Lee and Rachel have reconnected, become engaged, and are planning their wedding. Elle has a job at a small video game company and is doing well, while Noah has become a successful lawyer evaluating career opportunities in New York and Los Angeles. They discover that people continue to use the kissing booth at the carnival, and they're grateful that students are carrying on the tradition they started. The booth holds special significance for Elle. Elle and Noah reconcile and maintain contact, riding their motorcycles into the sun together in the final picture. Don't forget to watch the first and second parts. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.